Man, I hope you guys watch this video because this is new information and it definitely takes some practice. So lesson 20 is on performing operations with functions. And it's really simple if you follow along, okay? So the first thing I'm going to go over is notation. So there are operations, and there are specific ways that a book will notate that. So we're going to go over how it will write it, because in math, people like to use the least amount of words as possible, so they'll use notations. So when I am adding two functions, or maybe even three, I can notate it two different ways. So if I'm adding f of x plus g of x, the other way to notate it would be f plus g of x, or simply f of x plus g of x, okay? So this is one way to write it, but most often it is written this way. It just is a shorter way. It's like a shortcut of writing this, okay? If I am subtracting two functions, and it really matters which letter they write first. So if I am subtracting, so if I have f of x minus g of x, the proper notation for that would be f minus g in parentheses and then x. Please know that this does not mean you are multiplying x. I think some people read this as f plus g times x, and that's not what this means. This means you're going to add f of g, and x means you're just combining the like terms. You're not plugging anything in for x. You're keeping the letter. Okay, so please know that that's what that means. If I am multiplying two functions, so instead of writing f of x times g of x, it will be written f times g of x. No, there is no symbol in between because the multiplication symbol, this dot, can be invisible. So last would be if they're wanting us to divide. So instead of writing f of x divided by g of x, the proper notation for that is simply f divided by g of x. Now, I know that looks crazy, so I'm going to show you what I mean by all this. We're going to do some together. So here we go. I'm going to give you two functions. So given f of x equals x minus 2 and g of x equals 3x plus 4. Now I'm going to do several parts with you. So here are two functions. Remember, f of x is just a way to name x minus 2. So x minus 2 is the function of f. We're not going to really write him. So when I say the function of f, I'm referring to x minus 2. When I say the function of g of x, I'm referring to 3x plus 4. Okay? So I'm going to start with number 1. Find g plus f of x algebraically. Now this is called algebraically because I don't have a number here. So I'm going to write it in this order. So this means I have to write the function of g first. So that would equal, I'm going to write the function of g plus the function of f. Okay? So here is 3x plus 4, right? That's the function of g. And they're asking me to add the function of f of x minus 2. And to do that, we're simply going to combine like terms. So 3x plus 1x, right, there's a 1 here, is 4x. And 4 minus 2 is a positive 2. So this would be our answer. Okay? Not that bad, right? This looks confusing, but this is asking us to write the function of g, which is here, plus the function of h, and then we combine like terms. Okay? I'm just going to put so think of this notation as directions, and maybe that's what I should write up here. Notation is a fancy way of saying what they're asking you to do, the directions, if they're asking us to add them, multiply, subtract, or divide. So let's try another one. What would f minus g of x look like? Now notice they listed f first, so we have to write the function of f first. So that means that I would do f in yellow, so I would do yellow minus the function of g. Okay, so here we go. F, I'm writing first, is x minus 2. Now, because I'm subtracting more than one thing, I'm going to put 3x plus 4 in parentheses. And the reason I'm doing that is when I subtract something, I'm subtracting both of these. So I'm subtracting 3x and I'm subtracting the 4. So know that this subtraction sign affects both terms after it. Okay? So now I'm going to combine like terms, and so that gives me negative 2x minus 6. Because I combined x minus 3x and negative 2 minus 4. Okay? And if it helps, I will just rewrite it. Okay? Next one, we're going to do g times f of x. So this means we are multiplying our functions, and I'm going to keep them in the right order. They have g first. So g is green, and I'm multiplying that by f. So I have g times f. We're not going to have a plus or minus in the middle because we're multiplying. So the function of g times f. And now we're going to distribute, right? We just went over how to multiply polynomials. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. 4 times x is positive 4x, and 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So I end up with 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay. Now, you can probably guess what we're going to do next. Divide. So I'm going to do f divided by g of x. So I turn the pages. I think that would mean I have yellow divided by my green function. So x minus 2 divided by 3x plus 4. And you can only simplify greatest common factors, and there are none. So this is my answer. So that is how we would do it algebraically. So that is one way, is algebraic. And now we're going to talk about what to do with functions, how to simplify functions numerically. Okay, so that is the second part. And numerically is when instead of writing x, so instead of writing f plus g of x, this will now be a number. So example, that will be f plus g of 6. So numerically means they're going to give us a number to use instead of x. So I'm going to give us two new functions. So let's simplify, well, no, here, we can stick with the same two functions, and we'll just keep it that way. So we're going to use the same functions. F of x was x minus 2, and g of x was 3x plus 4. Okay, I'll keep this one green, and I'll keep this one yellow. Okay, so here we go. Simplify, what is f plus g of 5. So this changes things up. I'm no longer just adding my functions. This means that I'm substituting 5 into each function for x. Another way to think of it is they're asking you to plug 5 into f and add that to the result of plugging 5 into g. Okay, so this is another way to write this. And so that is simply what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug 5 into f. So I'm going to start with my yellow function, right? So I have 5 minus 2 plus, and now I'm going to do that into g, 3 times 5 plus 4, right? That's my green function. So I have the green, and this is my yellow. So the result of my yellow is 3 plus 15 plus 4 is 19. So my final answer is 22. Okay, so follow that all the way down. You're doing it separately, and then this is asking us to add our answers. So let's try a different one. G minus f at negative 4. So this is the same as asking us to find the function of g at negative 4 minus the function of f at negative 4. Now I notice on some of your tests, you didn't watch the video on this lesson, so you missed that question. You didn't know what to do with the number. This means I substitute the number in for the letter. So let's first find this one. This is the green function. So I'm substituting a negative 4 in for x. Okay, and this is my yellow function. And they're asking me to substitute a negative 4 into x, and then I have a big subtraction sign. So I'm going to keep simplifying this. You can keep them separate if you'd like. Okay, so 3 times negative 4 is negative 12 plus 4, which gives me negative 8. And then I'm going to subtract what I get from here. This gives me negative 6. And so this gives me negative 8 plus 6, which equals a negative 2. So I followed that all the way down. Notice I kept the subtraction sign all the way down, and I did each function separately. Now, if it helps, you can write them completely separate. So, for example, the next part, f plus g at negative 1. I'm going to find f at negative 1, and then I'm going to find g at negative 1, and I'll add them at the end. So f at negative 1 would be the function of f, and which is x minus 2, but I'm plugging in a negative 1, and that gives me negative 3. If I plug negative 1 into g, that's 3 times negative 1 plus 4. I'm plugging in negative 1. That gives me negative 3 plus 4, which is 1. And then I'm going to take their results, f plus g. So notice I have my answer from f and my answer from g, and I'm adding them. And so my final answer here is -2. Let's try another numeric one. This one, G times F at 11. So what they're asking us to do, they want us to find G at 11, and they want us to multiply that result times the function of F at 11. Sorry, I get these notifications. Okay, so here we go. G at 11 would be, there's lots of ways to write this, but it would be 3 times 11 plus 4 times the function of x would be 11 minus 2. Okay, so I've plugged this into F and this into G. This gives me 33 plus 4, which is 37, times 9. 37 times 9, I don't have my calculator on me. And we get it, 37 times 9, and I get 333. Next one, G divided by F, I think that's what I wrote, at 1. So this is the same as what's the function of G at 1 divided by the function of F at 1. So again, remember, F is the yellow function, G is the green function. So on the top I would have 3 times 1 plus 4 divided by x minus 2, because those are the functions. And then I'm simply going to simplify the top and bottom. So I get 3 times 1 plus 4 is 7 over -1, and that gives me -7. Whew. All right. So in this chapter where it asks us to do it geometrically, we're going to skip. We're going to skip it. So I won't give you tests or homework questions that ask you to simplify it algebraically. So let's jump into lesson practice, which is on page, it begins on page 139 and goes to page 140. So part A, they gave us the functions f of x is 3x minus 5 and g of x is x minus 3. And they asked us to find f plus g of 6. So that would mean I'm going to do f of 6. I'm going to combine that with g of 6. So that would give me 3 times 6 minus 5, right? And if you want, you can put parentheses plus the function of g at 6. So that would give me 18 minus 5, which is 13, plus 3, and that gave me 16. Part B is using the same functions, f plus g of x. Now remember, this means that I'm simply going to keep functions as is and add them. That's what this means. So x means keep them the way they are and add them as they are. So I'm going to do the function of f, which is 3x minus 5, plus, so this is f of x, plus g of x, which is x minus 3. And that gives me 3x plus x minus 5 minus, that gives me 4x minus 8. Part C, they've given us two new functions, f of x equals 7x minus 8, and g of x equals x plus 5. And they asked us to find what is f minus g at 3. Okay, so we're going to plug 3 into each function. And remember, order matters. So I'm going to do the function of f first. So the function of f is here. So 7 times 3 minus 8. And I'm going to subtract I don't know why there's a parentheses here, my bad. And now I'm going to do this for function g, so 3 plus 5. So here's function f, here's function g, so that would be 21 minus 8, so that would give me 13. And I'm going to subtract, this gives me 8, and 13 minus 8 is 5. All right, D, they've asked for f minus g of x. And it's the same two functions as above. So the function of f is 7x minus 8. And I'm subtracting g, which is x plus 5. So that equals 7x minus 8. I just dropped the parentheses. Remember, this negative has to be applied to both. So minus x minus 5. And that gives me 6x minus 13. We are going to skip, I believe we're skipping f. Wait, where's E? Did I leave off E? E and F we are skipping. And so then we're on to G. Now in G, the functions are, they want us to do h times g at negative 4. They told me that h of x equals x plus 6. And g of x equals x minus 5. Okay. So I'm going to first find h at negative 4. And I'm going to multiply that by g at negative 4. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start with h. That would be negative 4 plus 6 times negative 4 minus 5. Notice here's the function of g. That's why it said g. Here's the function of h. That would give me 2 times negative 9, so I got negative 18. And the function of h, I have f times g at negative 4. The function of f is x plus 9. And the function of g of x equals x minus 4. Okay, so this is the same as saying f at negative 4 times g at negative 4. So let's start with f. I'm doing negative 4 where the x is, plus 9, times g, and I'm putting negative 4 right there. And that gives me 5 times negative 8, which is negative 40. All right, we're going to do one more. That is part I. Part I have the function, they want me to do f divided by g at 7. And they told me f of x equals x plus 3. And they told me g of x equals x plus 5. So f first, I'm plugging in 7 plus 3 divided by g, which would be 7 plus 5. That gives me 10 over 12, which would be 5 over 6. It's not that bad. If you might have to pause my video, you might have to rewind the video, and really kind of study it. But I think you'll do great.